Hi, welcome back to Tomorrow's America. My name is Richard Donahue, and I'm here with my co-host, William Donahue, and welcome to episode 38. As you see by the title, Trump vows to end civilization in Iran. Also, we'll be talking about the Sampson option and much more. So, Will, I know you said some stuff on Sunday. Do you want to go more in depth with what you were saying?
Yeah. So Sunday I was saying there was all this activity in the area, planes were going down. I kind of theorized that maybe the planes that went down were some sort of a ground invasion attempt on Karg Island, potentially. Not too sure what it was all about, but it seemed weird to me that, you'd send hundreds of people in on a rescue mission and all this stuff. If you want to see what I said on Sunday, you could go back and watch it. But now things are becoming a little more clear. So the official narrative is that the pilot went down. He was severely injured. He climbed a huge mountain and followed his training, and he had a GPS radar, whatever, satellite tracking system. So he pinged it, and they came to rescue him, and they took over this air base, and it was a heroic, rescue operation with hundreds of troops, and they blew up their own planes because they got them stuck in the mud and all that. And that's great. It sounds good, but I don't think that that's what actually happened. I still don't think that that's what's actually happened. Although what I said Sunday is that I thought it was an invasion of Karg Island. Now, because of some more details that came out, this was done in the Isfahan region, which is right near a nuclear power research facility. So, in my opinion, I think that they were doing advanced air operations with the planes going over Isfahan, trying to clear the ground. An A-10 Warthog was shot out of the sky. That is an infantry support aircraft. So that would go in before the infantry comes in. So one of those was shut down, and an F-16, F-15E, fighter jet or whatever was shot down. I thought that was an advance for an invasion of Karg Island. I think that what it was an advance for a special operations mission to take uranium from the Isfahan nuclear research center. And I think that it was a failed attempt, and that, things got out of hand. And I also think, this is just a speculation, but I also think that they possibly are underreporting the casualties that took place in this. I asked people about this, and they were bought onto the official narrative. And I said, well, how did they, take the airbase? And the person was like, because Iran is dumb. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that doesn't make any sense. Now Iran is reporting that they had a skirmish at the site and that there was a shots exchange. So definitely more to the story than what they're telling us.
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad you clarified that, because I did think that show was a great show. If you haven't watched it, go back to Resurrection Day, the show that was actually underviewed at the time. I think it's one of our best shows that we've ever put out. Obviously, it was Easter. Jesus is risen. It was a great day. I hope that you guys all had a great time with your families. And just as you can see in the bottom, don't be anxious about the war, because it is escalating at a rapid rate. As you can see, Trump today, it's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern. He's going to make his big announcement on what's going on. But he vows to end a civilization. That is very scary. That's very scary talk, very scary framing, the way that he is framing this. So obviously we hope that is just negotiations, and he's just trying to have a madman theory and try to get the most out of our negotiations as possible. But you never know, especially with this administration. It's very, very, very interesting what's going on. So to move more
So,
closer into that, do you
Rich,
want to get into that, Will?
can I actually comment on what you just said?
Yeah.
Because, okay, so you said the madman theory. Now, where that comes from is from the Odyssey, I believe it is. It was
Yeah.
one of the philosophical books from ancient Greece. Um, the story behind that is that the madman, he was pretending to be crazy because he didn't want to fight in a war. So he was acting crazy, but when they started being suspicious that he might not have been actually insane, and that he was just trying to get out of the war, they he was what he did to prove that he was crazy, he put an ox and a donkey on his plow and was plowing his field with both animals pulling the plow. So people were like, who the hell who would put an ox and a donkey on the plow? This guy must be crazy. So what they did was they said, okay, well, if he's crazy, let's take his son and put it in front of the plow and see if he runs over his son because, he's crazy. Well, he ends up turning and going around his son, and they said, you're not crazy. You still have the ability to do the reasonable thing. So they proved that he wasn't the madman in the philosophical writing, right? So I don't think that Trump is doing the madman theory because he's actually doing the crazy thing. He's actually running over his son, to use the analogy. He said that today was Energy Day or whatever, Energy and Bridges Day, and Donald Trump ordered bombs to be sent to Carg Island. They took out a big bridge and they hit something else. I was just reading about it and kind of forgot what I was reading about, but he did strike today, so he is doing the crazy thing.
Yeah, the thing that I really think of is when he took Nicolas Maduro. I kind of think that was his way, starting off the year, to let everyone know this is what we're about. This is what we're gonna do. Obviously, he killed the Ayatollah and the Ayatollah's son, so obviously he is carrying out these massive military operations, but I'm not sure if he actually wants to go deeper into it, like obviously the title says, ending a civilization, like he's framing, or you see him on Easter praising Allah, which is the Muslim god. I think that's outrageous. I think a lot of the stuff that he's doing is for negotiations, along with, he said that it's a 48-hour period, then he moved it to a 5-day period, and now it is a 10-day period, and now it's the end of the 10-day period. Tonight at 8 o'clock is his deadline. We see this all the time. They say, taco. They say Trump always chickens out. Well, I almost think that that's just the way that he negotiates, using the art of the deal. I hope that that's what he's saying, and that's what he means.
Right. I hope so too. It looks to me, so he's been assigning civilian infrastructure targets to every weekday this week. I think that he might, not do an ultimatum like he said, like, oh, in 10 days we'll end your civilization. I think that maybe he'll bomb more and more civilian infrastructure, because basically what Trump realizes is that this is no longer a military war. This is an economic asymmetrical war that Iran is fighting. Iran's regime is not a vertical structure where you have a guy on the top and then people below him. You have a wide horizontal structure for their regime. So if you take one guy out, there's another block to just move in its place, and there's thousands of people below ready to just come up the chain. So taking out the regime is not very likely, and I think that Trump is going to start hitting their civilian infrastructure, trying to cripple them economically back. And, this is just this is just gonna keep spiraling. It's just gonna keep it accelerating. Right now, I believe it's 1/3 of the world's oil, 1/3 of the world's helium, copper, aluminum, sulfur. All these resources are shut down, and it's crippling the Western economy. So Trump needs to kind of counteract that by maybe taking out economic things in Iran. But at the same time, him doing all that is a war crime. It's a war crime to hit civilian infrastructure and end a civilization. You know, it's another word for ending a civilization.
Genocide.
Genocide.
Yeah, exactly. So what happened to liberating the people of Iran also? Hitting civilian
that was
infrastructure. What were you saying?
That was fake.
Oh,
that
for
was
sure.
fake.
It was just a way for us to get involved in the war.
What proof have you ever seen that Iran killed 67,000 of their own civilians? Have you ever seen a picture of the bodies?
Nope.
Ever seen,
we also know that Mossad and CIA intelligence was involved in creating those riots, creating those protests. So we know that we were already involved, and then we wanted to claim that we were going to liberate them like we liberated Venezuela, allegedly, from Nicolas Maduro. We're liberating the people of Iran, but now, 6 weeks later, as gas prices climb over $1.40 in the homeland, now we want to go and bomb civilian infrastructure and commit war crimes with my favorite person right here, Benjamin Netanyahu. He needs our money. We need the donates. But yeah, so now what are we doing? What are we trying to do? Are we trying to commit war crimes and continue this terrible war? Or are we going to continue to fight an asymmetrical war? And now in the world, in the grand scheme of things, the American empire and Russia are now in a dual asymmetrical war with Russia, Ukraine, and America and Iran. More stuff that we're not talking about really on the podcast too is the war that Israel is fighting with Lebanon. They've displaced over 1 million people. They're telling Christian Lebanese people, don't hide any Muslim Lebanese people in your house. There will be consequences. That sounds familiar. I wonder where in history we've heard that before. They're also dealing with stuff from Yemen and the Houthis. The Houthis are now claiming that they're going to start shooting down boats in the Red Sea. So the global economy is taking an absolute crap right now. And there's not much we can do because we've put ourselves in this predicament. We put ourselves in this terrible regime change war, which we shouldn't be involved in the first place.
Yeah, and another question, how do you end a civilization in one night?
Nuclear weapons.
Nuclear weapons, right. Okay, so the only other time that nuclear weapons was used is against Japan in World War II. And apparently Japan offered us an unconditional surrender 5 days before we used the bomb. And a lot of people like to think that the U.S. wanted to demonstrate what we were capable of to Russia, to set a check for the world power. But Pearl Harbor happened. Okay, so the American people saw the atrocities of Pearl Harbor, the numbers of troops it took to take out parts of Iran, the long protracted war that had been going on for years and years and years, and the evil behind it, Japan fighting on the same side as the Nazis. So I think that people were willing to accept that we used nuclear bombs back then. If Trump wants to end the civilization in one night tonight by nuclear bombing Iran at 8 o'clock tonight, which would be midnight their time, we wouldn't get, American people wouldn't get behind it. We know that this was a war of choice that was started on behalf of Israel and has nothing to do with the nuclear bombs, nothing to do with regime change or whatever any of their goals. They don't even tell us goals. And if they did tell us goals, if they said we have to get their nukes out, right? And then Joe Kent comes out and he's like, "Oh, well, I didn't see any signs that they had nukes." If I was Trump, you know what I'd do? I'd be like, "Okay, smart guy. How about this? Declassified. This is the intelligence briefing that I received." You know what I mean? I'd throw it right in his face.
Yeah.
But they haven't come out and done it. So that makes me think that Joe Kent's right. It wasn't about the nukes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And what happened to this transparency that he ran on in 2024? He said that he was going to be the transparency president. He said he was also going to be the affordability president. Well, this war has proven two things. Nothing is transparent, like we didn't already know that with the Epstein file cover-up. And everything is not affordable. He doesn't care about affordability. He doesn't care about transparency. All he cares about is his legacy. All he cares about is how people are going to look on him in the future. And the thing that he doesn't realize is this war is just going to make him look even worse. He's going to look like a neocon, like George W. Bush. He's going to look worse than Obama. At this rate, he's going to be worse than Obama. I don't see a world where President Donald Trump can actually stop this. I don't understand how we continue to escalate this war. And at this point, we're not even fighting a military war. Just like Will said, we're not fighting a military war. We're fighting a war on economics. Everything in the world is economics. You need to follow where the money goes. We are losing this economic war because our $1 million Patriot missiles are shooting down $20,000 drones. Now that we've realized, wow, we're losing a lot of money, we're going to stop doing that. Now Israel and Tel Aviv are getting bombed with $20,000 militant drones, and they can't do anything about it. The Iron Dome is working on overtime, and they can't do anything about it. Going back to what I was saying about Lebanon, they are trying to make a complete new border. They call it a buffer zone. They want to go all the way up to this massive river in Lebanon. Now, the problem with this buffer zone is the buffer zone they're talking about, it's not going to be controlled by the UN or anyone like that. It's not going to be controlled by America or the EU. It's going to be controlled by Israel as an annexation of Israeli territory. We know that the Greater Israel Project isn't just a project, it's a real thing. People call it a theory. It's not. It is literally on their arms right here, a patch of Greater Israel from the Suez to the Sinai, or all of the Sinai, from the Suez Canal all the way to the Nile, and you see it. They take land from Iraq, Egypt, Lebanon, Jordan, Syria. I believe some of Saudi land. Maybe I don't think Iran, but either way, this also could be involved in taking down the Alaska Mosque. Which, if you really go into that, the Alaska Mosque is a very important thing for the Jewish religion, that location specifically. It is where they want to rebuild the third temple. So multiple things are on the table for this war. And it's not just a military versus military war at this point. It hasn't been for quite a long time. And we're seeing it hit us in America. Just like I said, the gas is outrageous. And this is the way that most people view the American economy. It is not the stock market. Nobody cares about that. Over half the amount of Americans in the country aren't even invested in the stock market. They do it off of grocery prices and gas prices. And I can tell you, it used to take $45 to fill my 16-gallon tank. Now it takes $67. So what does that tell you? That tells you that gas prices have gone up from $2.85 to our location to now I have to pay $4.19. That is outrageous. It is crazy. $4.19, that is like worse than it was Biden levels. Like, this is terrible. This is one of the worst economic collapses in the last 6 weeks that I have seen since I've been following politics at all. It's honestly crazy, and it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, back to what I was saying about this too, is we have this. This is one of our thumbnails. As you can see, this was one of our thumbnails from, I believe, episode 5 or episode 6. I just saw it in my gallery, and I thought that this was really fitting for how I felt about this. So yeah, it says, "America, I need your money." Basically, we are this golden calf. You know, we are this absolute stud of a nation, and they need our support. They need us to survive. We subsidize them. And instead of subsidizing them and helping them with their wars, maybe we could actually focus on the American people. Trump just recently actually said that we can't afford universal health care because we have to fight all these wars. That was a quote from him. He said it. So I think it's very interesting that he's coming out and saying this, and now the media is trying to hide it. This mainstream media, even CNN, is backing the war. So what does that really tell you? What does it tell you that CNN and MSNBC, the people that hate Trump the most, are now backing him in this war? It almost seems to me that it's not Trump. Trump's a little puppet. It's the administration, and it's the deep state. He is the deep state. He has been corrupted. His administration is, to be honest, compromised, and I'm calling for him to be impeached, because at this rate, our country is getting obliterated. And although immigration is a huge problem in America today, they are literally propagandizing people to think that these immigrants that are here are the reason that gas is climbing from $2.85 to $4.19. People honestly think that the immigrants are the biggest problem in the country. I agree that immigration is a huge problem. Deportations are a huge problem, that they are so low, but that is not the biggest problem that we are dealing with right now. We are dealing with an incompetent leader that is literally losing his mind. He's going to try to run for Venezuelan president. Obviously, he was joking when he said that last night, but it's outrageous. This is just like, in war, this is not something that you just play around with. You're joking around. You are literally playing with people who are living paycheck to paycheck. They're not able to afford a full tank of gas at this point. Gas has climbed so high. Grocery prices have climbed so high that a lot of people in America can't even handle this. They can't even buy groceries. They can't buy gasoline. Like, people are picking up second, third jobs. People are literally door dashing 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day after they get out of an 8-hour shift just to survive in this economy. And he's supposed to be the affordability president. It's outrageous. Sorry for that little rant, but it's just something that's been really weighing on me. And Will, I don't know if you're all good, if you're ready, but if we can move on to the next topic. I had to go off for a second. That was nuts.
No, you're good. I'm trying to look for a post that was online earlier, but
if you want to keep looking, I can give a little preview to a new video that I just posted.
That would be good. A good segue from your rant you just did to your what are we calling it, Rich?
This new segment that we have is called Road Rants. As of now, it's called Road Rants. We are still continuing figuring out what we're going to call it and everything, but it's called Road Rants. Basically, what the plan is we are going to have us in the car talking about whatever we want to rant about politically or spiritually, and we are going to go in depth, rant hard, get aggressive, uncut, and just go off. So basically, what I have here for you today is the future of the Republican Party. I ended up changing the title to The End of MAGA. What now? What next? So right here, let's pull it up. This is the video. This video is absolutely, in my opinion, it's absolutely one of the best and most favorite things that I've created. It might not perform to that level, but I love the idea of this Road Rants. And let's just get into a little bit of the stuff that I wanted to talk about JD Vance and MAGA.
In 2028, a guy like JD Vance cannot win. Obviously, he's a part of this whole MAGA administration. And being a part of the MAGA administration just shows you straight up he's a part of the corruption that we've seen. If this administration couldn't do any of its promises like it promised, then how can we hope that his administration would do the same? It's kind of like the same idea that I have with Kamala Harris. Obviously, I disagree with her on almost everything. But if she's trying to say we need change, but she was a part of the problem being the vice president under Biden. So I kind of think it's the same thing with J.D. Vance. I don't see him having a platform to win. I could see him having a platform to run. That would be a very, very big mistake for the GOP, I think, in my opinion. I think guys like Nick Fuentes and others who have exposed his past, J.D. Vance's past, may screw him up in an election in 2028, especially against any Democratic candidate. They don't really have a set leader. Their set leader, I guess, right now, leading in the polls is Gavin Newsom, even though you look at what he's done with his state, kind of the same with Kamala. You see what they've done with the state of California, and I can't imagine they would do any better with the rest of the continental United States. But, J.D. Vance has that Rust Belt appeal. He's an Ohio-born native, actually, Ohio native. And, on the other hand, you have a guy like Marco Rubio, who he's another guy that I do not want in, the presidential election. If he's the GOP candidate, you already know what you're going to get out of him. He's done as a Secretary of State, he's done a pretty good job for the stuff that the administration wants him to do. One of the main problems I have with Marco Rubio is what you're going to get out of him. He's a neoconservative.
There we go. So if you like that and you like that whole idea of what that video could be, it's around 10 minutes. And honestly, what I think about it, I really like filming it. I really like the idea of road rants, and I think that we can get a good amount of videos posted because I'm always driving around, coming home from job sites, and will be doing the same, probably coming home from the gym, coming home from work. I'm always driving around, ranting, talking to myself, listening to stuff along the lines of that. And I think that this could be a great opportunity. I think this could be a great opportunity for Americans Under God, the YouTube channel. And we will continue Tomorrow's America. Obviously, this is not replacing it. It's just extra videos for you guys to watch. So if you like that, like, comment, and subscribe, especially. Subscriptions really help this out.
Yeah, I think it's a good concept. A lot of times I'm driving in the car and just thinking what, about whatever. And if I could just record those moments, what I do on air, is nothing compared to some of the just talks I have with my wife and stuff that I say to myself in my head in the car. It's just I don't know. Okay, so
for sure,
I found what I was looking for. I kind of was scrambling there, but I did end up finding it. This is a website that's a new website, and it's called Americans for Transparency. This I heard about today, and I encourage everyone to go on there. Now, what I'm going to be showing you is an investigation that they're doing into Salem Media Group, it's called. And it's a foreign registered media group that's being paid by the government of Israel, and then the money gets funneled through all kinds of other companies. And basically, it's not like Israel is directly paying these people, but it's a system that allows Israel to pay these people. And the company that they do it through provides editorial notes, all kinds of programming information for the shows. And they're, a backer for these shows. So it's important to look into this stuff and see, like they say, Americans for Transparency. It's important to look into this stuff so that we have transparency with our media, with our government, with everything. So I'm going to kind of get into this here. This is an investigation into Salem Media Group. FARA registration number 7649. Brad Parscale's undisclosed foreign agent role. This is just one person working within the American media on behalf of a foreign country. And you'd be surprised at who hosts shows that are paid by this company. So, Salem Media Group's Chief Strategy Officer, Brad Parscale, is simultaneously registered as a foreign agent under FARA 7649 Clock Tower X LLC, representing the government of Israel via Havas Media Group Germany at 1.5 million per month. This dual role creates a potential violation of 22 USC 614 B, the undisclosed foreign agent provision of FARA. So basically, and then you could click around on this website. This is a great resource, but this is just, like I said, looking into one group. So you could actually go on here and click here and see their FARA information, their actual FARA registration, their contract with FARA. Then it's talking about Brad Parscale personally here. According to the DOJ's FARA filing number 7649, Brad Parscale owns and operates Clock Tower LLC, a registered foreign agent for the government of Israel. The contract, executed through Havas Media Group, Germany, is valued at $9 million for activities including anti-Semitism campaigns, AI-driven content generation, SEQ manipulation, and integration with Salem Media Networks. So by SEQ manipulation, that means that they're trying to influence influencers to go and give their narrative of things. So basically what the website accuses them of is this: it shall be unlawful for any agent of foreign principal to transmit or cause to be transmitted in the United States mails by any means or instrumentally of interstate or foreign commerce. Basically saying that they're going through this German back channel and doing the bidding of Israel, but under a different contract. And, you know, that's potentially a national security problem, because you're talking about foreign governments being able to directly provide information to the American people. So look at some of the names here. Charlie Kirk, who's passed away, but they're talking about the Charlie Kirk Show. Josh Hammer, Dennis Prager, Lara Trump, Hugh Hewitt, Larry Elder, Dinesh D'Souza, Sebastian Gorska, Brandon Tatum, and Todd Starnes. Well, that's surprising because you know, you wouldn't think that all these people who have the exact same opinion about everything, that just so happens to be in direct contradiction to what is actually true about what's happening, you wouldn't expect all them to be paid by somebody to say those things, would you, Rich?
No, definitely not.
No. They just all happen to come to the same stupid conclusion at the same time, and I'll spit it out and then be wrong about it 3 days later.
Yeah, the evangelical sect of Christians, usually Zionist, the people that use the same talking points like, do you think Israel has the right to exist? Like Piers Morgan, people along the lines of that secular group. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all that these people are the real MAGA. These are the people that we need to go and support. These people are all MAGA, and if you don't support them, well, then you gotta leave MAGA. That's just how it is. And then, people will hear that. They're like, oh my gosh, Donald Trump, our savior. Okay, let's go and listen to this guy who's feeding me Zionist propaganda. People need to think for themselves. It's 2026, and we are still we're still falling for propaganda at the masses. And
I know.
It's hard for me to even say that because I also fell for the propaganda of Trump in 2024, along with a lot of people that I know. You know what I mean?
It's almost like you walk into a room and it's almost like you walk into the hallway at school. I don't know if you remember this, but there was always that one kid who puked in the water fountain for some reason, or like in a garbage can in the hallway. Okay, so you walk out of the classroom and all of a sudden you're like, oh, you're like, oh God, where's that coming from? And everyone around could smell it. It's this funky smell in the air, and you're like, what the hell? And every kid comes out of the classroom complaining about it. And then, the equivalent of like these neocon Zionists, telling you some bullcrap story of something that didn't actually happen. That would be like the teacher coming out and being like, what are you guys talking about? And you're like, what, can you call the janitor down here? This is horrible. We all need this problem fixed. And they're like, I don't know. I don't smell it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's literally in the air. This Israel influence, this war. So not only are we fighting an asymmetric war against Iran with China and Russia acting as proxies, or Iran acting as their proxies in this whole conflict. But at the same time, you've got Israel fighting their Eighth Front War. That's a term that they coined. They're fighting the Eighth Front War, and one of the fronts of the war is for your mind. And they are willing to put their money where their mouth is, pay these influencers, and get your mind to be swayed the way that they want to. That's what Rich is saying. It's 2026.
TikTok.
You got it. Yeah.
It's a big one. The best is when Netanyahu's like, class, does anyone know what the biggest purchase of the century can be? And everyone's like, they're saying some stupid stuff. They're like, CNN. And they're like, MSNBC. He's like, come on, I'm disappointed. It's TikTok. TikTok was one of the biggest ones. That's another one, huge American propaganda on Chinese media, Chinese influence. They have your data. Well, I can tell you one thing. I would much rather have knowing China has my data than the security state. Well, it's a security state over there too, but the state of Israel that honestly, quite frankly, I think that they view me in a worse light than China views me. China views us as the enemy. But Israel is even worse because they're our ally and still views us as the enemy. In their Talmud, they still view us as the enemy, and they're our ally. It's like that's even worse. It's traitors.
What happened to Trump? Trump seemed to understand that you don't pick up the snake. Oh, you little snake, are you cold? Here, let me put you in my jacket. Remember during the campaign, his speech about the snake? And then he's like, Trump seemed to understand that you don't pick up one snake, the Democrat Party, and take it under your arm and keep it warm. But he somehow missed the fact that the next snake on the road, the AIPAC Israel lobby that he took money from, was another snake, and now he's got the snake under his arm. But it's like he's got like the African prince scandal, where you give an African prince money, and then they need more money, and then they need more money, and by the time you lost $100,000, you're not willing to tell your grandson that you got scammed. You'll never admit to it. Well, Trump's not admitting to the fact that he picked up the next snake on the road, the AIPAC Israel money that he took, and he put it under his arm, and the snake bit him in the neck, right? And he's got the snake on his neck, and he's like, guys, this is our greatest ally, as his neck is turning black because it's a rattlesnake and he's got venom running through his veins. He literally is in denial that he has now picked up the snake and been bitten by it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. The snake has literally wrapped itself around his neck and is squeezing him for everything they can get. Oh, we're going to drop a nuke if you don't bomb Fordo. Oh, well, okay. Well, you bombed Fordo and you told the American people that all of the enriched uranium is now gone. But we need another war because they're building nuclear and now they have ballistic missiles. And we know they have ballistic missiles now, so we need to go to war with them. Okay, well, I guess I can. And then you see a huge conference with a bunch of APAC people and lobbyists, and the guy's got him around. He's man-hugging him. He's like, this is our first Jewish president right here. And then Trump's like, it's true. And we literally see this happening, and no one can talk about it. No one can do anything. And then Easter 2026, Trump is praise to Allah. It's like, dude, this is getting out of hand. It's so ridiculous.
You know what the first thing Pam Bondi did when she got in office was?
What?
She ended any federal charges for FARA. Now, if you want to take anyone to court for a FARA violation, it's now a civil lawsuit because of Pam Bondi. So these people that have this umbrella corporation getting paid by Israel to influence media and do all that, they face no federal weight. Like, oh my God, if we, hide our money and hide this foreign influence, the U.S. government's going to come after us. The U.S. government doesn't have the power to come after them anymore because of Pam Bondi ending federal FARA oversight and turning it into a civil litigation. So our media could be, there's no that whatever the opposite of an incentive is. There's no incentive to do the right thing because there's no government oversight body to enforce FARA regulations anymore.
Yeah, and now it's getting to the point where people are saying democracy is the problem, when it's not. Democracy is one of the greatest things about America. The problem is our democracy is corrupt. It's been perverted from the beautiful democracy we had for the first 100 years to the last 150, just slowly decreasing over time to the point where it is now. Our democracy is honestly, to be quite frank, if you want to know my honest, truthful opinion, I think that we have 5 to, 200 oligarchs that just control the strings. They donate to both sides and they get what they want. The Republicans will start the wars. The Democrats will bring the immigrants in, and then we get outraged, and the Republican gets in, and he'll start some more wars, and then the Democrat gets in, and then they pass new laws for anti-family, love is love laws, and they want to do all of this stuff, anti-Christian laws. Let's get farther and farther away from Jesus, farther and farther away from God, as far as we can get. Let's bring in all the immigrants. Let's tank the economy. Let's get away from the gold standard. Let's create the Federal Reserve. Just thing after thing after thing after thing. Let's get, like, I'm not even going to go there, but there's so many things that have happened just to corrupt our nation. And it's honestly getting to the point where if we continue down this path in 20 years, I don't think that we will have a nation. That's why I said now.
You want to talk about our nation being corrupted? I just pulled this up just now. Everyone, I encourage you to look this up. I didn't have time to read up on it too much, but the Republicans are now calling for the Dignity Act, and that is a bipartisan bill that aims to grant undocumented, undignified individuals the dignity to remain in the nation, despite showing no dignity to our nation and to our borders. This bill essentially is to grant mass amnesty to all the illegal immigrants that came in through Biden. I have to look more into this, but you want to talk about corrupting the nation? We don't have elections. We have selections. They pick a person, and the person carries forth the World Economic Forum, World Health Organization, UN agenda, no matter what. Donald Trump, we thought he was going to be the one to end globalism. He said that he was against globalism, but he hasn't pulled us out of any global organizations. And if anything, he's the reason why the World Health Organization's power expanded in 2020. They were able to enforce coronavirus lockdowns and push an experimental shot in the United States. And now we're in a World War III type scenario where the global organizations are going to start rationing gasoline and food and different things in the coming years. That's a prediction of mine, because it's not a prediction, it's written. It's their war gamed out strategy of what they want to do. Just applying it to the real world and recognizing it for what it is. That's what I'm doing, and that is their plan. Is they want to have these rolling blackouts, gasoline restrictions, the 4-day work week. They're talking about, oh, this war could usher in 4-day work weeks permanently. Right now in basically Malaysia, Indonesia area, you, based on your license plate number, if you're odd or even, you get to drive on certain days. And if you're caught driving on one of your unassigned days by the government, you get punished, because they need a whole of society, restriction to keep their energy system up and running. They're having gas shortages.
Yeah, that's happening a lot in Southeast Asia. You see places like Cambodia and Thailand, they are literally out of gasoline. Places like India, if you ever look up India gas station, you will see videos of the entire gas station piling into the street of people just begging to get a little bit of gas. These places are running.
Wow.
Places that are using the strait are running dry. What?
Thousands of Iranians have now gathered at a power plant in Iran to protest the U.S. striking their energy infrastructure. Thousands of Iranians have gathered in support of the regime against the United States. We're supposed to be liberating the people. The people are forming a human chain to block off a power plant so that we don't strike it in Iran right now.
Dude, that's insane. That's happening right now?
Yep. Footage out of Iran on Tuesday shows citizens gathered at various locations to demonstrate against President Trump's threats to target power plants and bridges, and saying he's set to unleash hell and destroy their entire civilization.
Oh my
Bloomberg
God.
is report. Should I put this up on the screen?
Yeah,
Bloomberg is reporting this right now, and they have a video showing the Iranians forming a human chain across a bridge somewhere in Iran. Should be popping up any second here. So this is going on right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, people don't even remember the stuff that happened with Palestine. Let's just forget about that because the Epstein files and these new wars. But look at this. Wow.
And that's at a nuclear power plant. They're all lined up outside. The first image that you saw was a bridge. They're all lined up outside.
That's nationality right there. Look at that.
I would be one of them if this was happening in America. I would be out there with those people with my American flag. So I don't blame these people.
No, of course not. How can you blame them? They're not the aggressors. They didn't start this war. They wanted it to be very clear that they didn't start this war. They were not the ones who aggressed it to start. This was a preemptive strike that happened on behalf of Israel and the United States. We preemptively did this because we said they were going to attack us, or most likely Israel and American bases in the region. This is absolutely terrible. And I just want to say, if you are non-religious or religious, still say a prayer. Obviously, we are Christian, and my prayers will be going out to the people of Iran, along with the people of Israel, and our American soldiers, because this is a terrible thing that's going on right now, and we just pray for safety and prosperity between the nations, and hopefully we can have peace in the Middle East once again. Because this is terrible. What's going on is awful. And you can see by these people, protesting the war, that they don't want to be involved in it either. And they, to be quite frank, Iran didn't start this war. We did. So it's something that we definitely need to look into, and hopefully pray that we do not have a ground invasion. That is the biggest thing. 3 people in here.
Agree.
If you guys are enjoying this, make sure to like and subscribe. Please. It'll help us out a lot.
We thank everyone for watching. We really appreciate you guys. I really appreciate any comments, any feedback that we get, because, we're human beings and we tend to put things into, I could get mad about something and go off on a tangent. And sometimes I look back on it and question what I said, this and that. I'd like to address all those things. I'd like for you to hold us accountable, and for all of us to work together to hold our government accountable. And the better we could be at that, because of your guys' comments, the better off this show's going to be. So hit the like button, leave a comment. We thank you for watching, and hope everyone has a good night. Christ is King.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great message. We want to hold ourselves accountable, just like what Will said, because we don't want to have egos, especially in this political space. This is a very dangerous space to be in. And I think that using our First Amendment right, the freedom of speech, is one of the most powerful things, and one of the most important things that we can do. So just pray for these people, honestly, this region. Imagine living there and you see bombs over your head every single day, your school getting bombed, and you see classmates of yours getting bombed. It is terrible. What's going on is awful. So please pray for these people. Like, comment, and subscribe. Christ is King, and just spread the good word any chance that you can get, because it honestly is what we are called to do here. And I really appreciate everything that you've gotten us. And check out the video. The top link in the description is the website that Will showed us. That is a very important website for real American patriots to look at and to see what's going on in the government. And the second link in the description is going to be the new video that I just released. It will be Road Rant Episode 1. Like, comment, and subscribe. And with all due that, glory to God.